That was variation number 8 from Bach's Goldberg Variations, and it was performed by Danny Driver. I'm Erica Worth, and welcome to this Pianist podcast. Today I am speaking with the British pianist about all things piano, with a particular focus on his current Variations series at London's Wigmore Hall. Danny, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Hi, lovely to be here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Why don't we kick off by talking about your Variations series at the Wigmore Hall? I believe it's 5 concerts in total, isn't it?
It's 5 recitals
Yeah.
over 2 seasons, so it's a real marathon, and it's bookended by 2 really monumental pieces in the genre. We started with the Goldberg Variations in November last year, and we're going to finish with the Diabelli Variations by Beethoven towards the end of the 2026-27 season. In between those major bookends, I'm taking the audience along a bit of a journey and traversing a whole range of smaller and bigger sets of variations, some very well known, some undeservedly forgotten in my view, and also some contemporary things that are very, very new, and even some anti-variations, if that makes sense. I'll tell you a bit about that later.
Oh, yes. Well, why don't you talk us through the concerts, the recitals? I'm coming to the next one. I missed your Goldberg Variations, but on the 15th of February, you're playing one of my favourite sets of variations, Schumann's Symphonic Etudes.
Yes, I adore those pieces, and I've been playing them a very long time. I learned them when I was still at college, actually, and so they've accompanied me throughout my career, and it felt completely appropriate and essential in a way that I should include them. And I have also in that program brought them together with a piece that was inspired directly by them, by another composer I adore, Gabriel Fauré, who, despite being a church organist and trained in church music, never wrote anything for solo organ to my knowledge, but he really wrote fantastic solo piano music that still somehow is not as appreciated and as loved as I think it might be, and certainly not played as much as it might be. And his C-sharp minor variations are directly inspired and modeled on Schumann's Etude Symphonique. Same key, same number of variations, kind of. I mean, it depends what version of the Schumann you play and what you believe and don't believe. But it's a theme with 11 variations. And there's even in variation 10, there's even a direct quote of the theme of the Schumann, which of course isn't by Schumann. So it's like it's a bit of a maze.
That's amazing. I mean, wow. I honestly didn't know that. But for example, with the Schumann Etude Symphonique, I find there are camps of people who love them, or those that don't, or those that don't get them. Maybe you can. What do you think here?
I think with Schumann's Etude Symphonique, there's kind of a tussle between 2 things. There's Schumann, the kind of romantic spirit, who adores the romantic literature and is so loved for his free-flowing ideas and romantic sweep. But then also you have variation form. He's given a theme not by him, of course. It was a theme that was given to him by the father of his fiancée at the time, Ernestine. This was pre-Clara days, and the theme is a very beautiful theme, but it's quite square in a way. It's the right number of bars for a classical theme. And Schumann embarks on a set of variations that essentially preserve that structure. So what does a composer do then if he's kind of beset by this great romantic freedom and spirit, and yet having to work within a constrained form? And that tussle, I think, what's fascinating for me, I think if one makes them too boxy, so to speak, and too classical, it becomes a little bit variation after variation. And I'm guessing that those who don't warm to them quite so much might be feeling that way because of that. So I try very much to make those variations into a much larger structure, like an arc, a musical arc that sort of, in a way, transcends the granular detail of each variation, while obviously preserving the essential qualities of each. And there are so many interesting
Beautiful.
aspects to that set of variations. I mean, the way he imposes the orchestra on the piano, for instance, the symphonic proportions. I mean, they really are symphonic, both in their grandeur and length, but also the kind of textures that he writes. You can just imagine orchestrating some of them straight away because there are so many layers going on within the piano. And also, there's a great harking back to the Baroque. Interestingly, I think in these pieces that there are some, there's one that sounds like a slow, stately French overture, for example. And in the finale, I can't help thinking that he is alluding to or quoting, maybe he didn't know the piece, maybe he did he hear it, did he not? I'm not sure. But the Christmas oratorio, the quartet that sort of precedes the final number, is almost exactly what happens in the finale. It's funny. There's this bit that comes back again and again, and
Yes.
we know he was a great admirer of Bach, but yet he kind of pays this homage, if indeed it is a homage, in a very personal, romantic way. So I don't know. There's a lot in them.
I think there's something about that finale that puts people off because it's quite bombastic. It reminds me slightly of the middle movement of the Schumann Fantasy.
Yeah, it's got this potentially like a sort of march-like formality, or this dum ba bum 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 ba bum bum bum, the rhythm, the
Yes.
choric rhythm that goes through. I mean, I think that generates a lot of excitement. I think to harp on that as too much in the foreground is probably ill-advised, because
Good.
then it just becomes potentially repetitious and just too much of a good thing. But
Yes.
it actually it's an undercurrent. It's more the theme of the finale is actually not the theme of the variations at all. It comes from
No.
a contemporary opera by Marschner. Another reason why I love this piece.
Yeah.
It's from his opera, I think, Ivanhoe, and the text to this variation, to this theme, is "Du stolzes England, freue dich," proud England, rejoice, which kind of has interesting, varied resonances these days. But it's a completely different material, and it's got some light-hearted, joyous aspect, and so I think
Yes.
it shouldn't be formal and pompous. I think it should be like a
Right.
party, basically. And the theme and the theme on which the variations are built, the Baron Fricken von Asch theme that
Mm.
opens the work, appears in this Bachian guise throughout.
Yes.
So actually, I don't know. It shouldn't sound repetitive at all. It should sound fresh, and it's a new thing. It's a new idea that,
Yes.
that incorporates and rounds off everything that has been explored so far. So
Very
I think,
interesting. And then you say Fauré modelled his on Schumann's, which I honestly didn't know. What
yes.
does Fauré do?
Well, Foyer's theme is original, and it's interesting because his theme is quite formal and straight. And he even told his student, I think he told Margarita Long, that she should play it like an etude, not too much feeling, just do it. It's kind of just a theme,
Okay.
not don't do too much with it.
Okay.
Interesting what he again also maintains the structure very closely, and I suppose when you think about the relationship with Schumann, he also varies it with a great eye and ear for counterpoint. So there is this
Yeah.
kind of Bachian church musical contrapuntal heritage. He was trained in the Niedermeyer school, and I think that's sort of you can feel that.
Yeah.
And in the orchestration, he really uses the full range of the piano, all the registers. He uses the top registers, he uses the
Mm.
deep bass, and again, the demands are severe. I mean, the technical demands are quite severe, but musically, again, the challenge with this is to make it into something that transcends the sort of solidity of variation by variation. So, like, I often think with variations that it's
Mm.
very clever. You kind of get a real insight into a composer's creative mind and how they are going to vary this material that is often essentially quite simple.
Mm.
But it's not just about what am I going to do next. These variations have to sit in some kind of journey, in some kind of narrative, or in some kind of explorative state that gets you around them in an aesthetically very satisfying way. So I think in that respect they're both quite similar, and of course, but stylistically they're sort of very different.
Yes, of course. I mean, I've always shied away from variations. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like maybe it's frightening to have a whole load of variations. As you said, you've got to make them all come together. And it's the same material, of course, embellished and changed and whatever. But, you've obviously got a deep fascination with them. And as you said, you can really understand the composer more with variations.
Yeah, I think it's one aspect, and it's interesting because I talk to a lot of people about variations, and some people love them, and some people say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
really." Some composers, but I don't write variations. I don't like writing them. I once wrote a few, but that I don't do that anymore. So yeah. I mean, the thing is, the starting point, I suppose, was with works like the Goldberg and the Diabelli variations and the Etude Symphonique, and actually with the piece that forms the centerpiece of the third program, which is Mettner's Improvisation Number Two, which is
Yes.
a phenomenal set of variations, but it's kind of twisted into the fabric of an improvisation and a kind of prolonged fairy tale legend about the Song of the Water Nymph at the same time. So it's kind of like a multi-genre piece in a way. And I suppose major masterpieces such as those kind of really were crying out for some kind of trajectory that kind of takes them well, and personally, artistically for me as well, because they're works that I adore and that I'm really sort of still itching to play. I'm enjoying playing them, and I will do. I think for many years to come.
I mean, your repertoire is absolutely varied. I mean, as you say, in all these programs, you've got the well-known and the more obscure, which is wonderful. So, have you always had a fascination? I mean, and I'm looking at your discography as well. I mean, all types of composers. So you're obviously not just a Beethoven, Bach, and Brahms kind of guy. You like to discover the more off the beaten track repertoire.
I do. I do like some variety. I mean, first of all, I must say I don't have any problem with playing Bach and Beethoven. I adore them. And later, you're probably going to ask me what composer would I play if I only had one choice. And well, I won't spoil it now, but it won't be necessarily someone very obscure. But at the same time, there are pieces of music that have been forgotten about. We've got pianists. We're very lucky. We've got such a huge repertoire, such a rich repertoire, and it's inevitable, I think, that I mean, I'm never going to get through everything. No one is, and some things do get left behind. So I am interested in that, and I'm also interested very much in the music that's being written now. So, and a lot of my programs actually have been juxtapositions of kind of wonderful mainstream things that people love or that people have heard about and will come and hear, but also alongside those new things that nobody knows and that are emerging now that have been written quite recently. I mean, the fourth program is an example of that, where
Yeah.
I'm going to that's really the variations there are more variations on an idea. So pictures at an exhibition and Debussy's Image is all about pictures, and pictures at an exhibition it has a set of variations running through it very quietly. The promenade gets varied very, very subtly, registrally and orchestrally as we go on throughout, and kind of reacts to some of the paintings that you see along the way. So that as you walk through that exhibition, metaphorically speaking, your way of promenading is varied according to what you've just experienced or what you might be thinking will be around the corner or things like that. But because we're dealing with images, pictures, paintings, portraits, I've chosen some of Amy Williams's piano portraits. Amy Williams, who's an American composer, is fantastic. Writes wonderful. She's a wonderful pianist herself, knows the instrument, and a sort of 21st century answer to Mussorgsky in a way from Thea Musgrave with her snapshots, not paintings at an exhibition, but photographs. And photographs, I think that can be. I'm still studying them, but I think that can be arranged in different orders. So there's a nice kind of curatorial input from the performer as well as actually playing the music.
Yes. Interesting. Oh, well, I don't know Amy Williams, so I'll have to. Have you met her?
Have I met her? That's a good question. I've been in touch with her. I've spoken. Have I met her?
It's
Yes, I
not very.
have. Yes, I have. Sorry, I was kind of. This is embarrassing. Yes, I have. I met her in New York. Sorry.
Oh,
There you go.
well,
It's
that's
on the
good.
record.
That's
Yes.
good. Did you sit down with the score together?
No, actually, I was there. I went to hear a performance of a piece of hers for soprano and string quartet that the Jack Quartet were doing at a New Music Festival in New York called Time Spans. And I think it was a setting of something called the Ur Sonata by Kurt Schwitters, who wrote a solo sonata for a speaker entirely in nonsense syllables with carefully notated timings and vowels and consonants. And it lasts quite a long time. Anyway, this piece I think was a musical setting of that. Crazy stuff, really. Wonderful. I kind of it got my brain turning a little bit. But
Wow.
that was the occasion that I met her.
Okay. Interesting. And as you go on, I mean, your last recital will feature the Diabellis, Beethoven Diabelli variations, but that's not till spring 2027.
It
So,
is. That's
yeah,
right. That's right.
goodness,
So you see this
it's
this
amazing you plan it so far in advance, but you have to, don't you, with the big, concert halls.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And also just for a cycle like this to see one's way through it's not something that can be put together piecemeal as you go along. I think it's got to be there's got to be a vision, um, if nothing else, so that one can achieve a good balance of works across the series and
Yeah.
bring people with you in the series. I think as it is a series, hopefully people who come to the first one will keep coming back. So there's a continuity to it, and I quite like the idea of exploring
Yes.
this amount of repertoire together with a particular audience. I think that's a good
That's
thing.
fantastic. Would you like to take the series elsewhere? Maybe Carnegie Hall.
I'd be happy to take the series elsewhere. I'm obviously playing the isolated programs in other places as we go along.
Yes.
I'm not doing the series of five anywhere else at the moment, but very much open to it.
Yes.
A lot of work. It's
I'm
very much
sure.
open to
I'm sure.
it.
I'm sure. And when it comes to the recording, so far, I think I gather you've done the Goldberg variations on the Onyx label. That was in September last year.
That's
That
right. It
came
emerged in
out.
September. That's right.
Anything in the pipeline for the future with these variations?
Well, yeah. There's going to be a release of the Schumann and the Fauré this coming September, also on Onyx. That's the plan.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
And at some point, there'll be some more Ligeti with Hyperion, but I'm not quite sure when it will emerge yet. There are still some things to do with it.
Ligeti's fabulous. Yeah.
Ligeti continues to pleasantly haunt my schedule.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. Well,
What is it about Ligeti? What is it about Ligeti for you?
it's a great question. I sort of became a bit addicted to his music, I think. And I became addicted to the ideas, to the striking originality of the sound, and to really the way he was inspired by so many musical and extra musical ideas, and how he, more than that, how he brought those ideas together and fashioned music coming from those places that really in an era where so many composers had done so many things to shock,
Mm.
um, he managed to bring this all together and to fashion something strikingly original that
Mm.
wasn't requiring kind of extended techniques, prepared pianos, conceptual things. It's just 10 fingers on the keys and the feet on the pedals, more or less as usual. There are tiny, tiny exceptions, some blocked keys and things like that he uses,
Yeah.
but other than that, really his late style and his answer to the as what he saw as the dead end of the avant-garde and the kind of less appealing directions to him anyway of minimalism and of neo-romanticism. It's really inspiring. I mean, he was a polymath.
Mm.
He had a remarkable life. He was under the Nazis. He was under the communists. He had everything thrown at him basically, and somehow survived all that and sort of pulled through. And his music has been just so influential. There's no composer, I think, working these days that hasn't somehow been touched by George Ligeti. So for all those reasons, I suppose. And then, of course, once you've played all the etudes and recorded them and done a lot of that, you keep doing it. It starts to become more fun when you've done them a lot.
I bet. I bet. I bet. Yeah, and people are recording them. You're right. I mean, you obviously, but I remember first hearing it was Pierre Aimard
Yes.
who brought them out to the open. Really, I think, didn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, he worked very closely with Ligeti for many years. He was the dedicatee actually of a couple of the etudes. He gave the premieres of quite a few, and Ligeti was sort of I think actively involved in those first recordings and everything else. So I mean, we all owe Pierre Laurent a huge debt, really,
Yeah,
as you know, the pianist who really brought them out, as you say.
yeah. I'm going to turn to something else now. I know you're very, very busy on the concert platform, but your role as, well, teacher in higher education seems to be equally as important to you. You are Professor of Piano and Contemporary Piano at the Royal College of Music. That's an interesting title.
Yes, I often think it shouldn't be necessary in my mind to specify that I also deal with contemporary music, but um, I think it's probably good that it is that way because I think maybe from the outside sometimes the view of conservatoire life has been, hopefully not in the case of the Royal College anymore, but has been that the musical material that we work with and the way we teach is kind of very much in the past, and it is rooted in a tradition for sure. But I wouldn't say that it's backward looking or sort of conservative, and I think that sort of because I do play a lot of contemporary music and I'm
Mm.
interested in it, that sort of speaks to the sort of a more forward looking way of thinking about pianists and young pianist development. I mean, I think it's very important for young pianists to be
Mm. So maybe, yeah, maybe
well
somebody who
versed.
is more interested in contemporary piano will be happy to have you as their professor.
Yeah, I think it would, you know, if someone wants to play contemporary music, it obviously helps to have someone who's sort of experienced with it and sympathetic to those potential directions. And I'm not a world authority on piano, contemporary piano, but I do work at it sort of actively in my career, solo wise, chamber wise. So yeah, and I enjoy that as well
Yeah.
very much.
What would you say is your style of teaching, or do you think that's a silly question?
No, I would never say that was a silly question. Um, It's quite. I've thought about it quite a lot. I do try to encapsulate it. So I think there are two sides to what I do, and I think I combine them. I try to combine them very seamlessly so that they're not because they're not really separable. I mean, one is certainly about trying to find a very free and conscious mechanical approach, like a physical approach to the piano. So when I say mechanical, I'm not saying technical because I think technique is something a bit different. I think you have mechanics, which is how you move around your joints and how you move efficiently and quickly if you need to, and all the rest, and how you use your body well. I think technique is kind of the act of using that ability to achieve an artistic goal. So for me, there's no such thing as technique as a thing that is separable from an artistic goal.
No.
So I would say I work with my students on kind of freeing up the mechanics, on freeing up the physicality of really connecting physically with the instrument, which has so many mechanical parts, as you know, in a really efficient and positive way. And then at the same time, I'm very engaged with interpretation. I'm very engaged with helping students to try and find their artistic vision and sort of opening the door to, well, how do we go about finding an artistic vision? What's it going to be based on? What do we need to, what can we identify in the music, and what can we think about in order to help us generate the artistic vision? And again,
Yeah.
I shy away from imposing my own artistic vision on anybody
Mm.
because I think that's, it can be helpful to demonstrate it, but I think to impose it is always a mistake. I'd much rather be helping my students to find their way, and if they're truly talented and passionate about what they do, that's very much a worthwhile enterprise.
Mm.
So we talk about structure, we talk about harmony, we sort of analyze things. We talk about sort of the music in its context, its history. We talk about aesthetics, and all that those two worlds, if you like, the kind of technical mechanical bit and the interpretive bit sound quite disparate, but actually they become very unified if you consider that to make any kind of effective musical gesture, you need to find a way of embodying the gesture.
I get it. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it all comes together.
that's sort of it's a long answer, but that's kind of what I think I do.
Okay.
You'd have to interview my students to find out whether they think that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Well, when you were a student, you yourself had some impressive teachers. Alexander Kelly, Piers Lane, Irina Zaritskaya, and Maria Curcio, who has always been somebody that a mystery to many. What was she like?
Maria was extraordinary. I mean, they're all extraordinary in their way, but Maria was extraordinary because it's like every cell in her body connected with the piano somehow. This was someone who had, her career very much curtailed by what happened to her during the war, and she had been paralyzed. She got tuberculosis. She was, she was hiding Jewish refugees in Holland, and didn't have enough to eat, and she became very ill. So her career really stopped before it started, and when she could start to play again, she started coaching singers and got into teaching, and then the teaching really took off, and she became, absolutely primarily a teacher. But her demonstrations were absolutely astonishing, absolutely astonishing. The kind of playing that kind of shakes you to the core in a way. I mean, always in quite small chunks. She wouldn't sit down and play a sonata. It would be a few bars here and a few bars there. Boy, I can still that sound still reverberates in my mind. And her Neil Immelman once described to me, he thought that with her you kind of learned by osmosis. You kind of had to be ready you had to be interested and ready to receive. I think he was right. There was something that she wasn't. She talked about technique. She talked about phrasing. She talked about all these things, but there was something in the way she was that just transcended all those things.
Oh my
And yeah,
goodness.
it was. I mean, I didn't study her for a long period. It was with a year and a half or two, but it made a very deep impression on me and helped me really to tie together in a way all the things that I had learned from my teachers up to that point. Um,
Okay.
Somehow,
Okay. Wow. I wish I'd have met her or had a few lessons with her.
yeah,
Wow.
she was an extraordinary person. There's actually a wonderful film made about her. I mean, I thought it was wonderful because, of course, it brought back so many memories, and I know the person. She's no longer alive, so it kind of is nostalgic for me. But I think it may be a BBC film. I'm not sure, but I came across it on YouTube the other day, and it's there. And she's talking about
Okay.
things and teaching a couple of students. Eric Lesage, I think, is there playing, and
Oh,
I can't remember who else. But yeah, it's for those interested in Maria Curcio, it might be a
oh,
nice thing to
definitely.
spend a bit of time looking
Oh, I'll try and check that out. You are married to a conductor, aren't you? The American conductor Rebecca Miller.
at. I am.
What's it like? Did you meet at the Royal College of Music?
We did not. We met at the Aspen
Oh,
Music Festival
ooh,
in
how nice.
Colorado, up in the mountains.
Lovely. Long time ago.
It was quite a long time ago. Um,
When you were a student.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, we were quite young.
Oh, well, Aspen sounds amazing, actually. I've never been, but it sounds like a fantastic festival.
I haven't been for many years. It's a very, very beautiful place, and the festival is still going strong. I've had some of my own students now going to experience it, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Wow.
actually, some of the people who were teaching there when I was there are still there teaching. It's
Yes.
well, I mean, why would you stop?
Yes.
It's a beautiful place. The weather is
Yeah.
good. The air is fantastic. There's music
Yeah.
all around, and it's a nice summer place. It's a nice place to spend the summer.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
why
Have
not?
you played with Rebecca? Have you performed with her?
Yes, we have. We there was a time when we would probably get together once a year or once every 18 months to do a concerto together. So we did do something. We worked together in London with the OAE once, I remember. We recorded the concertos of Amy Beach and Dorothy Howell and Cecile Chaminade's Concertstück for Hyperion in 2015, I think,
Oh, okay.
which was a lovely experience. It's a record I think we're both quite proud of. Yes, it happens occasionally. Done some
Yeah.
work together in Sweden. We do play together. We get on well on stage, I would say.
How wonderful. That's fantastic. And you have children?
We do. We have two children.
Are
Yeah,
they musical?
absolutely. Yes, as you might
Oh,
expect.
so it's important for them. You want them to study music.
Yeah, we have no designs on
Mm.
on careers or anything like that. But I think we're both very conscious of the joy and the benefits that studying music can bring. So why would we not
No.
encourage that in our children?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, actually, I can't believe time is flying. So we're getting towards the end. So what I would like to do now is pose some light-hearted questions to you. And if you could just answer me, uh, you know, off the
I'll do
cuff,
my best. Yeah.
go for it. Okay. So if you could play only one composer from now on, who would it be?
I've thought about this a lot, and this is you're talking to someone who hates who's your favorite composer questions,
Yeah.
but it would have to be Bach. I think
Okay.
there's kind of a limitless joy
Mm.
in playing that music, and there are lots of composers that I would absolutely be devastated to let go of, but he's probably the one. If I had to choose one above all others, it all comes back to him.
Yeah, I think that's a wise decision there. Yeah. Okay.
Let's hope we never have to find out. Yeah.
No. If you, yes, okay. One pianist, dead or alive, you travel long and far to hear.
Probably Sviatoslav Richter.
Did you hear him?
No, very regrettably, no. I mean, I could have done his kind of late concerts with the small lamp on the piano in the corner. I was around when he was doing that, but I was too ignorant and young still to know what was
Oh.
going on. Um,
Hmm. You've seen the beautiful film of his.
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And in fact, that when you say travel far and wide, it would be going back to maybe the 50s and 60s. That's where I would want to go. Definitely. I mean,
Mm.
his kind of relentless demonic energy. It must have just been amazing. There's that incredible recording of Pictures of an Exhibition from I think Sofia in 1961. It's just
Mm.
so demonic and so powerful. It just jumps at you right through the speakers in a way very few recordings sort of do. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. Oh, nice answer there. One person, dead or alive, you'd love to play for.
Also difficult. Maybe Rachmaninov,
Why? Why did you choose him?
because by all accounts he was possibly the most phenomenal classical pianist who ever lived. And I would just be very. I mean, and that's unfair, really, because that's not all he was. I mean, he was also an unbelievably wonderful composer, really, really gifted, and he was probably quite modest about that himself. But I just love playing his music. No, I think someone who has that kind of astonishing
Mm.
pianism and astonishing compositional mind and able to do both and write operas and stuff. I mean, again, there are lots of people that I would probably like
List,
to play to,
list,
but
list could be.
yes, possibly yes, yes. Why don't I say list? That's a good question. Why didn't I say list?
No,
I
but
don't know.
Rachmaninoff,
I
there's
don't know.
something.
But I think I have probably personally speaking, just for me, I find that I have more affinity with Rachmaninoff's music than with Liszt's music. But
Yeah,
that's not to say that I don't think Liszt was an absolute kind of great master. I mean, he was incredible.
yeah,
So yeah, it's finely balanced, I suppose. But I went for
of course.
Rachmaninoff.
Great. Okay. Do you have any technical struggles?
Well, the answer is yes, because and I kind of refer you to the answer I gave before. Technique is, using your wherewithal to achieve something, and that is, for me, that's the struggle of an artist. That's the search. That's trying to get what you want, and to achieve absolutely what you have in your inner ear, and something that really works. So my practice, I suppose, in that respect, could be viewed as one big kind of technical struggle.
Mm.
But I mean, I have no problem playing octaves or whatever, thirds and stuff. So like, you know,
That's lucky. That's nice.
yeah, I mean, it's difficult. So with the Ligeti etudes, for example, this is the thing that they're so monstrous and so ferocious and unbelievably demanding. And and I do struggle with them. I think everybody does. But the big struggle really is to for me anyway to not forget about the ghost in the machine. There's all this stuff going on, and somehow
Mm.
they're incredibly human, moving, great compositions. I mean, they all last 2 or 3 minutes, but they
Yeah.
really are great compositions. And so that's where the technique there really
Mm.
is really stretched beyond belief. It's like you've got to do all these polyrhythms and multiple lines and hear everything in your head, but what's it all for? You know,
You got to look down on it almost.
to contemplate it, to kind of imagine it, to hear everything, to be able to conceptualize the whole thing, and for it not to be just kind of a maelstrom of notes, you know?
Mm. I get it. Yeah. What would be your advice to an amateur pianist about how to improve?
I think probably the same advice I would give to anyone who wants to improve at anything. Um, be dedicated, be mindful, don't push yourself too hard, but don't expect too little. And progress is a long game.
Mm. It is. Very wise words. Okay. If you weren't a pianist, what would you be?
It's funny. This should be the easiest one, but I do struggle with this question because of course I didn't study music at university. I studied science. I was a natural scientist, so I should probably say that if I weren't a pianist, I would be, I don't know, like a research geneticist or something. But I'm not sure I would be because I don't think that's really me when I think about it now. So
Okay. Well, you obviously dropped it along the way, didn't you?
I dropped it along the way. I was very, very interested in it, but it's as a career probably it was not for me. So I don't know. I think probably without music I would have drifted around and done different things and hopefully found a way forward at some point. But I don't know what that would be. Music has
Ah,
been a great kind of anchor in
interesting.
my life.
Okay, so what was, and I'm going off the beaten track, what was your turning point then? You were obviously studying that and
It's hard to explain, but I did at a certain point realize, just shortly before I started my degree, actually, that music was the big pull career-wise, and that at that point I did decide to continue with my studies just because I thought, well, if I'm going to spend my life doing music, why not kind of immerse myself in this now because I find it interesting, and I had plenty of musical opportunities at the time anyway. So it seemed to make sense, and I sort of appreciate that. I appreciate this kind of the different perspective that it's brought me, and also I was mixing with a very broad range of people who were interested in many different things at the time. So I kind of value that.
yeah, I understand that. Okay, finally, one composer you're not quite ready to tackle.
At the moment, I feel it might be Bartok.
Okay.
Not sure why. Not ready. I don't know. You know, with all these variations and the 2 year thing, I've kind of made myself a pledge that in 27, 28, I'm going to play recital programs of music that I'm going to play for fun and that I've been playing for years. But I'm already breaking that. I'm already breaking that. So I don't know. Yeah, he's sort of been on my mind for a while, but I haven't even taken the first step really. I mean, I've played contrasts a few times, so maybe that is the first mini step. But
Wow. Well, you've got a lot on your plate. Absolutely. You've
there's
got so
plenty to
many.
do at the moment. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not struggling for work or things to do. So I'm happy.
No. And have you thought what you're going to do after when the variation series comes to an end?
Well, I have to. People are asking, so I'm actually this week going to put my mind to it and sort of put a couple of programs together. So see whether people
Oh
are
my
quite keen.
goodness.
I don't know. but there could be some Chopin there.
Oh,
There could be some Mozart there. I kind of adore playing Mozart. So we shall see. We shall see.
fabulous. Oh, well, I think that's a really good place for us to finish. I'm looking forward to hearing you in February. What was the date again? The 15th, isn't it?
It's
15th
the
of
15th
February.
of February, that's right, at Wigmore Hall.
And then in April, what's the date?
It's the,
27.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Okay, so for everybody listening out there, come and hear
Yes,
Dan
you'll be
Driver at the
most welcome.
Wigmore.
That will be, yes, those two programs. I'm proud of both of those programs, so I hope people will enjoy them.
Oh, well, I look forward to hearing you on the stage, and thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a great pleasure, Erica. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That was the Scherzo's second movement from Amy Beach's piano concerto, and it was performed by Danny Driver. Pianist podcasts are free, and a really good way to support what we do is by subscribing to Pianist. Visit our website at pianistmagazine.com and listen to us on YouTube by searching Pianist Magazine. And don't forget to sign up to our newsletter, which is full of extra playing tips and useful information. Go to pianistmagazine.com to find out how to sign up.